I'll give you an analogy that's used in coaching. So when you're working with something that's constricted, it's almost like you're spiraling down into that and creating more space and capacity. But when you're working with something that you want to embody more of, it's all about spiraling up, if it makes sense. Hello, beautiful women. I got a question from Colleen in the group, and I wanted to answer this via video for all of you because it's just easier for me to talk and explain. So here's what Colleen says. I have her post on the other screen, so I'm just going to read it and answer as I go. So Colleen says, Anna, hope you're enjoying. Thanks again for the coaching seat on Tuesday. I'm still feeling it and working through the effects. As a result, after the call, 3 questions emerged. Question number 1. I'm curious, do you make a distinction between flowing and releasing limiting beliefs and flowing to create new beliefs, magnetize what I want? Like, are those 2 separate intentions practices, or do you see them as 2 sides of the same coin? This is a great question. So to answer your question, Colleen, and for everybody else wondering, yes, these are 2 distinct practices. Practice number 1 on releasing limiting beliefs is a release practice. It's a liberation practice, and that's the main practice for module 2. When you're working with something that feels uncomfortable, icky, painful, sitting on your mind, so whatever feels uncomfortable or there's a constriction in your body, this is the practice that you do, which is a release practice. All of the practices that we have in the program, like from the sensitized practice in module 1, where you just move with what you're feeling, for example, or it's the module 2 main practice where it's a release liberation practice, or module 3 practice where it's like magnetism, but also just an exploration and stepping into a new belief practice or a role. Module 4 and 5 is all about magnetism. So all of these practices are feminine embodiment, feminine flow practices that you do at your own home, and we're also doing coaching, and they all follow the same, four principles of embodiment, which is awareness, you close your eyes, breath, obviously you breathe, movement, and the 4th pillar is sound. So the sound is not always there, but I encourage you to introduce sound in every practice. So all of them have the same principle, the same 4 principles, but all of them are designed to help your body welcome what is here, right? Whether it's release, whether it's something that you want, it's all about welcoming and creating space in the body. So when you're doing your release practice, it's always about either, like, intentionally, module 2 is all about how does this limiting belief feel? Like, for example, I'm not enough, right? How does it feel in the body? Where is that in the body? And can I move as that limiting belief, right? Can I welcome it in my body? Can I see how it feels, right? So that's super intentional. That's like an intentional practice. That's what we're doing. But in your daily life, always, I encourage you, whenever you're feeling constriction, I mean, if you're doing this practice daily, it just becomes so natural. So as you go through the program, there's different practices that you play with, but as you continue with your life, hopefully this is going to be a lifelong practice for you. You're just showing up on your mat and it's like brushing your teeth. What am I feeling today, right? Sometimes you're going to wake up with like constriction in the body, or there's a situation at work or with your man, whatever. So that's a release practice. It has an intention to not like get rid of it, but releasing and liberating through welcoming it. I hope it makes sense. And so the other practice, which is creating new belief, magnetizing what I want, is a different practice, because it is, while it has the same 4 principles and it's welcoming what is here now, but it has a more, I don't like this to use this word positive, negative, but it has a more kind of like, say, pleasurable sensation in the body. Like, how does this new belief feel? Like, I am worthy, right? Or magnetism is all about, well, how does this desire feel in my body? And then you're expanding that through the body. So let's say you're feeling it in your heart, it's light, it opens. So I'll give you an analogy that's used in coaching. So when you're working with something that's constricted, it's almost like you're spiraling down into that and creating more space and capacity. But when you're working with something that you want to embody more of, right? It's all about spiraling up, if it makes sense. So when I'm working with all of you, And in the practices, like if we're wanting to cultivate something in our bodies, it's all about expanding that through the body, expanding it through different parts of the body and feeding it and cultivating this, right? When you're doing with release, it's going deep into the constriction and sitting with the unknown. So it's the same thing, but it's just I guess the orientation is different. So I hope this makes sense. Question number 2 is, which is an interesting question. Colleen says, I've heard you mention Abraham Hicks in some of your articles, and I've been listening to Abraham for several years now. I'd love to hear how you see claimed as it is related to Abraham's message. I have something early forming thoughts on this as well, but I'd love to hear yours. Yeah, so Abraham Hicks, actually, I started listening to Abraham Hicks, and for those of you who don't know, it's like this couple. Well, she is Esther and Abraham. Honestly, I don't even understand this fully, but like there's this woman who's technically channeling the universe and vibrations. And so I stumbled upon Abraham Hicks around 2015. I distinctively remember it because I was in Thailand by myself. I was single, I started on this whole personal growth journey. And I listened to a lot of the YouTube videos that they have. They're still available. They have a podcast, and I listened to like albums or playlists of their teachings, which is mostly law of attraction. And it's all about, being in the vortex, thinking positive thoughts so that you can be in the vortex, stuff like that. So that actually, I remember that all of that really helped me connect to the source, if you know what I mean, like allowing myself to be in the vortex or the universe. So since then, as I went through my feminine embodiment coaching certification, I discovered the embodiment. I was also thinking about this, like, how does this work relate to Abraham Hicks? I think, well, first of all, it's very different because Abraham Hicks, obviously there is an element of embodiment there, but there's not, right? It's all about like, what is law of attraction? You think and continue to think positive thoughts and what you want, and therefore you attract what you want, right? So do not go towards the direction of what you don't want and thoughts and stuff. But it's still like, when I think about this like that, it feels very heady. The idea of law of attraction is like, well, keep thinking positive thoughts, keep telling yourself the affirmation, and then And through that process, I think some people start to feel and embody them, but most don't. So that's why, why this program is so different, because there's that embodiment aspect. Like, you can tell yourself to think positive thoughts, like, I'm amazing, I'm enough, I'm this, I'm that, that whole like telling affirmations in the mirror. A lot of the times, like, it works because you keep telling yourself things and your brain is like rewiring, or probably not really, not on the long term or sustainably. But how does it feel? How does it feel when you're good enough? That is the work that we're doing here. It's for me personally, it's much deeper work, and it has all those elements of law of attraction, because it actually works a lot better, in my opinion, because if we're not only thinking these thoughts, and the work is like, what is the old belief, what is the new belief, which is out there, right, in all of these programs and books and therapy, but it's in body. You're bringing your body on board. So you're not just like bringing the tip of the iceberg, which is your head and your thoughts, but you're bringing the whole body into the work, and it creates this vortex or twirl over, and you're pulling so it's law of attraction, but in a much more embodied way, and it's unique, and it's deeper than that. So, but to be honest with you, like, I've been working recently with, how as a woman, and this is part of my Magnetize Mastermind and next level of career and business, it's like, how can I get in touch with the fact that it's not all on me, right? That I don't have to work hard to produce results, that I can surrender and I can lean back into the universe, that the universe has my back, if that makes sense, that I'm not alone, and I don't need to push hard and do everything like a freaking workhorse, that there's a power greater than me. And if I create the container, and if I put in my energy into that container, the harvest will be there. So it's developing that trust and connectivity with that. So I recently actually started listening, because I'm like, okay, who can give me a bit more of that, the universe has your back type of a thing. And I think Abraham Hicks is really good at that. What I loved about Abraham Hicks is that you're always in the vortex. You're always going, if you're working with the universe and with the flow, it's going to be much faster. The only thing about Abraham Hicks that I think is maybe contradictory to claimed is, it's like stop thinking negative thoughts, but you can't. So our work here is how can we welcome thoughts, constriction, sensation, all of that. So I think that answers the question. If not, let me know. And third question is one of the causes of disembodiment also doing work for long hours on computers? I feel this often pulls me into my mind and out of my body, but it would be great if it didn't have to be that way. So also welcome you. So it would be great if it didn't have to be this way. And I think, yes, I think that one of the causes of disembodiment, especially in the last 2 years, but whenever the internet appeared, which is 20 years ago or 2018? No, I don't even know how many years it's been, like a decade or two, 100%. For me personally, I'm realizing now, and it's always been like this, I'm an extrovert, and I need to, my energy is literally drained when I'm in front of my computer. While it has so many benefits to, work online, obviously, for me, this is not the ideal way. It drains my energy. I feel exhausted. I've been trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with me that I'm not extremely energetic every day like my husband is or other people are. I came to the conclusion that, well, there's other things playing into that. Like there's so many things that could be playing into that. In my personal body, sitting in front of the computer for long hours, it's just so draining. And a cause of disembodiment for sure, I think, for so many people, because you are in the head all the time. But not only that, you are in the head looking at a screen instead of like being with other humans and being in that energy of a relationship and dynamism with other people and energies. And, like my ideal scenario would to actually not be working online every day. My ideal scenario would actually be working in environments that are full of people. So yeah, I think 100%. It definitely adds to the disembodiment. This is why it's so important to do our practice that we do here. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have other questions, and thank you so much.